4-year का return has come in one single year. Okay. Hi everyone. So due to the recent Israel-Iran war, the markets have started to correct a little bit. At the time of making this video, so I'm making this video on Thursday when the markets have closed. So the markets have corrected somewhere around like 2.5%. So Nifty 50 has corrected by roughly 2%, mid cap has corrected by 2.5%. So for a one-day fall, this is fairly significant. A natural question comes that how much would the market fall by? My estimate is 10%, and I'll explain you in this video as to why am I saying it. And more importantly, if the market falls by 10%, what are the type of stocks I will be aggregating? So I'll give you a commentary on a few stocks as well. And also, if you're worried about the market fall, it is very important to build your knowledge about the stock markets. Varna, you will always be scared about market fall, okay? Similarly, in your career, if you are worried about your career falling, then you should also be on a pathway to improve and upskill yourself. Now, one way of upskilling yourself is to learn very practical, relevant skills which are applicable as of 2024. And learning about how to build artificial intelligence product is a critical skill that you can accumulate. Now, irrespective of whichever background you come from, be it from HR, marketing, finance, freelancing, learning how to build AI products is a great skill that you can accumulate at this juncture. So on that note, let me introduce you partners of today's video, which is Growth School. And they are running a 3-hour workshop on how to build AI products. This is a wonderful workshop which will teach you everything from scratch on how to build AI related products, even if you come from absolutely zero coding background. Now this workshop is free for first 1500 listeners who will use the link in the description and comment box to sign up for this workshop. So do check out the links in the description and comment box. Now so far 300,000 people have attended this training and have benefited immensely and have learned about strategies like job hunting, salary hike strategies, resume building, and how to use AI tools to further your career. Around 300,000 people have attended this workshop till date. So I would highly encourage you to sign up for this very practical hands-on workshop if you feel that learning AI is going to be a game changer for your career. So definitely check out the links in the description and comment box. And with that said, let's move over to the main video. So let me help you understand both these points systematically. So for that, let me first and foremost show you the Warren Buffett indicator for the India market. This is called as market cap to GDP ratio. This indicates that how overvalued our market is. So if you take a look at this particular data, and what you would notice is कि देखो 2021 के आसपास when the market had corrected, just like 2022 के start से पहले markets had corrected. So you can see this line. So at that point in time, the market cap to GDP ratio was 120%. Okay. Then markets corrected, it went into this blue range, right? And now it is somewhere here, right? So the market cap to GDP ratio right now is 112, right? 100 से ऊपर typically बोला जाता है that it is above, but India का mean निकल के आता है around 94, okay? So therefore, from that perspective, there is a high chance of market correcting from this point. That's part A. Now part B, and मुझे पता है कि कुछ लोग ना भी वो शगुफा छोड़ देते हैं, right? And they just have to oppose everything that I say. For example, when I made this China video, इतनी hate, पता नहीं China क्या बोल दिया यार. I mean, it was like an anti-national step or whatever. Since that, you can check where the Chinese index is standing now, just by within the days of making that video. The point is that this type of macro investing is really powerful. Please watch these type of videos till the very end. वरना आप वो brainless लोगों की तरह, right? I mean, who are just here for 2-3 stock recommendation and कुछ नहीं समझ में आता है. तो वो बोल दिया कि market is going to fall by 10%. So I'll sell my entire portfolio tomorrow. And if the market does not fall, then it's Akshat's fault. So please do not behave that way. Have a little bit of sense, little bit of logic. Understand macro commentary. I'm trying to teach you all this important stuff. So anyways, coming back to topic, point number 1 is that the market cap to GDP ratio for the Indian market right now is high. It is due for a correction. So this is an important point. Number 2, whenever the market corrects, there has to be a supporting reason. For example, right now that reason looks to be Israel-Iran war. Now this is nothing new. It's not as if that market will correct due to this reason, but because market is due for a correction, this reason will be made and will be blown out of proportion. So कुछ मिलना चाहिए reason, right? I mean, because news चलानी पड़ती है, right? उसके around. So therefore, I feel that that now there is a chance that there is likely to be a 10% correction. Now this we can also see from the technical pattern of Nifty 50. So this is the long-term pattern of Nifty 50. मैं Nifty 50 देख रहा हूँ on a weekly index. This I am seeing it on a weekly candle. You can see that this is the resistance line and this is the support line, right? This is the long-term channel for Nifty 50, right? And आप यहाँ से देखोगे correction शुरू हो चुका है, right? And how much will it typically fall by, right? तो यहाँ से लेके if we pick the bottom line for this, then करीब 10.21% का fall is very legitimate, which is likely to happen from this point. because the chances are that on a long term basis this is the trend line that is likely to get followed, right? And इसमें किसी ना किसी पॉइंट पे यहाँ पे नीचे जो सपोर्ट है उसको लेके वापस बढ़ेगा, राइट? सो देयर इज अ गुड चांस, एंड अभी भी वो रीजन इमीडिएटली हो सकता है, इट माइट टेक लाइक लिटरली अ मंथ टू प्ले आउट और 3, 4, 6 months to play out, but this is very, very likely. Okay, so this is an important point that even from a technical perspective, the data tells us that there is a good chance of a 10.5% correction. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this target of -10% is कि आपका panic now, right? This is the most important reason why I'm making this video. क्योंकि होता क्या है कि लोग है ना बहुत शाणे बनते हैं कि you know what, अच्छा अक्षत है सेट कि 10% गिरेगा, so we'll sell it tomorrow and then when actually 10% fall happens, then we will buy it. भाई ऐसा नहीं होता है, you cannot predict the market to the point, right? होता क्या है कि बेसिकली अब हमें आइडिया है कि इट विल फॉल टू दिस पॉइंट ना, अब हो सकता है कि ऐसे जाए, फिर थोड़ा सा ऊपर जाए, फिर ऐसे जाए, फिर ऐसे जाए, फिर इवेंचुअली इस पॉइंट पे जाके गिरे, राइट? या मान लो कि ये ऊपर चला जाए और भी ज्यादा, राइट? एंड देन इट फॉल्स बाय 10-15%. सो पीपल हु प्ले दिस गेम कि यू नो व्हाट, वी आर गोइंग टू सेल एवरीथिंग टुडे एंड देन व्हेन द मार्केट एक्चुअली फॉल्स देन वी आर गोइंग टू बाय इट, बट उससे आपके छोटे छोटे से प्रॉफिट बनेंगे. दैट इज नॉट समथिंग दैट विल इम्पैक्ट योर पोर्टफोलियो लाइक ग्रेटली. थोड़ा सा सेंस रख के इन्वेस्ट करो. प्लीज डू नॉट बी एन एब्सोल्यूट मैक्सिमलिस्ट ग्रीडी पर्सन कि ओके बिल्कुल सारा का सारा प्रॉफिट ही कमा लेना, राइट? आई मीन 0.1% भी हम प्रॉफिट नहीं छोड़ेंगे, राइट? सो यू कैन नॉट डू दैट. यू कैन नॉट प्रिडिक्ट द मार्केट टू दैट पॉइंट. दिस इज स्लाइटली कॉम्प्लिकेटेड पॉइंट. Please revisit the last 2 minutes of this video. This is a very important point that I'm trying to tell you. Precise prediction cannot be done in the market. It's broad predictions that we can do. Now, अगर ऐसे ही कुछ analysis if we do for mid cap और small cap stocks, so small cap का तो यार index हमारे पास बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा नहीं है. Now, small cap and mid cap में यार देखो 10% correction कुछ नहीं होता, right? That on a mid cap or small cap, 10% can correct anytime. Literally, even like in a very good market, it can correct. What you should be worried about on small and mid caps is this time correction. So I have marked out 2 regions. So for example, this is region number 1, right? यहाँ से यहाँ तक आप देखोगे. This was a 4-year period. The total return by mid cap, S&P BSE mid cap मैं बता रहा हूँ, right? So this is like a broad based mid cap index. The return was 0% here. Now this is from 2021 up until like 2023, so 2 years. And ये recent history है, right? यहाँ पे भी again the return was 0%. Now since then, from this point, the market has actually gone up by 80 to 83%. Now typically what happens is that mid cap and small caps typically give 22% CAGR on yearly basis. Okay, so this is 88%. So आप roughly अगर अपन बहुत ज़्यादा cumulative math में नहीं जाएं तो अपन ये बोल सकते हैं कि यार देखो 4 year का return has come in one single year. Okay, now इससे ये वाले पाप भी धुल गए, right? कि यहाँ पे कुछ return नहीं हुआ था 2 साल तक, ये भी हो गया, right? And this also happened in a way. So इसकी भी कुछ भरपाई हो गई, right, for this year. So the point is that at best you can say that the market is somewhat fairly valued at this point. Okay, now this is a very important note because होता क्या है कि it's not as if that under very rare circumstances we will see like small cap and mid cap correcting in isolation. They will mostly correct with the broad market. Now right now again take a look at this particular graph and यहाँ पे this is like a very important point कि आप यहाँ पे देखोगे सब कुछ correct होना शुरू हो गया है. Okay, now if everything is correcting, this is called as broad based correction. Now if broad based correction is happening, then the chances of small cap and mid cap indexes correcting more is very, very high. Now in small and mid cap में मेरे को long term risk भी दिख रही है, right? And what I'm trying to tell you is that there is a very high probability that ये small mid cap index कुछ इस तरीके से रहेगा, right? So for example, you might see something like this, right? It could be a long period of consolidation. It could go into consolidation for maybe like 2-3 years maybe, right? There is a good chance that this might happen, right? So therefore, on that note, it is very important to understand, and this brings us to the final section where I will discuss stocks, that if you are picking small mid cap / risky stocks, what kind of stocks you could consider picking, right? Why am I picking these 4-5 stocks and which stocks am I trying to avoid? I'll give you complete download on that. अब आप बोलोगे कि यार मेरे को स्मॉल मिड कैप में नहीं जाना है, तो अभी एट दिस जंक्चर समथिंग लाइक FMCG looks okay. There is no problem on FMCG. Banking stocks can correct, but their valuations are okay at this juncture. There is no major problem in terms of private bank valuations. Public banks में हो सकता है कि valuation problem हो on certain type of banks. Similarly, if you are looking at healthcare, now healthcare is another sector which will be okay. So if you are considering that 2-3 year viewpoint, so these are low risk sectors as per my understanding. On top of that, you need to understand the China story. Again, I will encourage that please go and watch this video. This was a very important video that I made. Many of you took it as a bashing video for some reason. I don't know why. But honestly, since then, the Chinese index has gone up. Chinese stocks have been reviving. More people have been talking about China stocks now. So, धीरे-धीरे इसमें momentum आएगा, right? So, that's the bottom line there. Now, let me try to talk about 4 or 5 stocks जिससे आपको idea लग जाए on what parameters you need to be judging these different stocks, especially if you are picking these 2x, 3x type of stocks, right, over a 5-year basis, right? कि अगर आप ये बोलो कि अच्छा चलो यार फाइन मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप करेक्ट हो जाएंगे साइडवेज हो जाएंगे बट कैन आई स्टिल पिक लाइक सम स्मॉल मिड कैप स्टॉक्स दैट कैन probably 2x 3x in a 4 to 5 year period, then I would give you my thesis on that and I will explain it with some examples. Okay, these are not like stock recommendations. Many of these stocks I already have in my portfolio. I'm just helping you understand the theme better. Okay, so the first stock that I will help you understand about is AAS Financiers. Okay, so अगर आप AAS Financiers का देखोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि since the end of the tax season, right, ये literally like मार्च के बाद जब 1 अप्रैल से ये स्टॉक बढ़ना शुरू हुआ है, राइट, एंड सिंस देन इट हैज बीन डूइंग वेल, राइट, सो ऑलमोस्ट लाइक 1300 रुपए से इट इज नाउ एट रफली 1800. सो दिस हैज बीन अ गुड राइज ऑन आवास फाइनेंसियर्स एंड इवन नंबर वाइज देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम, राइट. सो इसके रिजल्ट्स अगर आप पढ़ोगे, even the revenue growth has been really good, profit growth has been really good. If you study the fundamental business model, again there is no problem in terms of the business model or its PE. So 27-28 के PE पे it's not a very expensive small to mid cap company. Okay, so this is like if you start comparing it with HDFC Bank and all that, तो वो एक्सपेंसिव लगेगा बट इसमें नेट ऐसी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. इफ यू लुक एट FII होल्डिंग, राइट, FIIs वालों ने भी बढ़ा ली, DIIs वालों ने भी अपनी पोजीशन बढ़ा ली, राइट, 9% पे थी, राइट, एंड नाउ इट इज एट 24%, राइट. सो इट्स नॉट एज इफ दैट the holding of Aavas Financiers is in weak hands. It's in very strong hands, all-time high revenues, all-time high profits. There is substantial scope for price rise on this stock. So a natural question comes that okay भाई ये बिल्कुल मतलब अपनी पीक कब बनाएगा, राइट, कि ये 3000 का लेवल कब अचीव करेगा. When there is rebound on the banking sector. For example, अभी जैसे आप कहानी समझो तो in the last 2.5 years, public sector banks have done exceptionally well. Something like HDFC, private sector banks haven't done well. On the flip side, small finance bank, for example, जैसे Equitas small finance bank हो गया, it had given a massive rally. Ujjivan small finance had given one round of very good rally where I booked profits. I guided my community also on it. Now there is a very high likelihood that in the next round of banking rally, जैसे market को आप ये मान के चलो कि निफ्टी है, now ये निफ्टी अगर ऐसे जाता है इस रेंज में, राइट, कि ऐसे जाता है, राइट, सो दिस इज कंसोलिडेटिंग, राइट, आई मीन ऑन अ लॉन्ग टर्म बेसिस दिस इज कंसोलिडेशन ऑफ निफ्टी. सो यहाँ पे क्या होगा, ऐसा थोड़ी कि सारे स्टॉक्स बढ़ने बंद हो जाएंगे. नाउ देयर विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ स्टॉक, फॉर एग्जांपल प्राइवेट बैंकिंग स्टॉक्स विच विल डू वेल, राइट, विच विल गिव यू डिसेंट रिटर्न, राइट, दे माइट गिव यू लाइक 15% CAGR return. Now I feel that Aavas will also fall into this category where it could give 15 to 20% run up because the fundamentals of the stocks are good, right, and there is not much scope left to fall on that stock. ज़्यादा नहीं बात करूंगा. आई होप यू गॉट माई मैसेज. नाउ लेट मी मूव टू स्टॉक नंबर 2 विच इज PVR Inox. Now I have been speaking about this stock and since the time I have been speaking about the stock has given roughly 25% run up already, right? So पहले मैं आपको PVR बता देता हूँ कि अभी इसके रेवेन्यू नंबर्स जो लेटेस्ट रिजल्ट आया उसके बारे में क्या चल रहा है, कैसे स्टॉक ने परफॉर्म किया है. So for example, here is the run up. So it was at like 1300, now it has gone up to like almost 1650 rupees, right? So it has given a little bit of run up, right? And especially the run up has come in the last few months itself. Now the recent results of PVR Inox was announced, right, and there were little bit of problems there, right. So for example, जो सबसे पहली चीज बोली गई थी PVR Inox के रिजल्ट पे कि PVR Inox Q1 results consolidated loss widens and revenue drops. उसमें revenue drop भी हो गया, उसके loss भी wide हो गए. अब देखो समझने वाली बात ये है कि बेसिकली दिस इज अ सीजनल बिजनेस. नाउ क्वार्टर वाइज जो वेरिएंस होगा ना इसका, समथिंग लाइक PVR Inox का, दैट इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन what type of movies are coming. Now if some powerful movies are coming and when do they come, yeah, न्यू ईयर, दिवाली टाइम, इन सब के टाइम पे ज़्यादा आती हैं. सो द लास्ट क्वार्टर ऑफ द ईयर इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. मुझे पता नहीं कौन सी मूवीज आने वाली हैं बट शाहरुख, सलमान, आमिर खान, इन सब की कोई ना कोई मूवी आई जाती है. सो दोज टाइप ऑफ मूवीज टिपिकली डू वेल एंड with those type of blockbuster movies, something like PVR Inox post very good quarterly results. Okay, so this is not a consistent business. It is going to perform badly usually in Q1 of a year and it's going to do exceptionally well in the last quarter of the year. So that's very commonsensical because that is when some of the blockbuster movies come. So this is one, right? And second more important point here is that if you actually look at the growth trajectory of the company, आप देखो कि revenue बढ़ाने में कंपनी को कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई है, right? At one point in time, its loss was like almost 750 करोड़ का लॉस चल रहा था. धीरे धीरे कम कर करके they have brought it down to 33 crores. Now, one good year and the business will become positive. Now, this is the same thing that I used to say about Zomato, and people who would have followed me for the Zomato story would have made at least 100% return on that stock. This is the precise point I used to tell about Zomato also, okay? That it turned profitable and then everyone started believing कि हाँ यार अच्छा ये stock भी positive हो सकता है. So these are the type of opportunities that you need to do prognosis on. That this is not a bad business. In the past, the company knows how to generate profit. It had been consistently profitable. The numbers became bad because of COVID and the year after that फिर इसका consolidation हुआ, it acquired Inox, so PVR थी अलग and Inox थी अलग, then PVR acquired Inox and now they are trying to reshape the business, right? So you have to be patient with these type of business. There is no reason why the company will not be hitting 200 to 400 crores of profit. Now why am I saying it? कि आप यहाँ से देखो, it used to do 3000 crore of business and it used to post roughly 200 crores of profit. अभी it is doing 6000 crore of business. Loss में है, I get it, but look at the loss number. The loss numbers are narrowing on year basis. They just need like one push and a few good movies here and there, and they are likely to become positive. So that is my investment thesis. I feel that this is a very good firm. Now, if you look at the price history of the company, you will see that hey, massive aggregation was done around this point, right? So around like 1200-1300 के आसपास जब मैसिव एग्रीगेशन होता है तो मैसिव एग्रीगेशन इज डन नॉट विद द इंटेंट ऑफ मेकिंग लाइक 50% गेन ऑन द प्रॉफिट. मैसिव एग्रीगेशन होता है 2x 3x 4x गेन के लिए. सो इफ big players have purchased PVR Inox at 1200-1300 rupees, उसका 2x at least निकल के आता है 2400 right? Right now it is at 1650. So if the sales target is 24, so there is a 50% gain to be achieved. It might take 1 to 2 years. So if you are patient, then only try to invest in these type of companies, otherwise avoid. Now this again is in my portfolio. Now the third key stock that I had or I used to have was Tarun Products, right? And then I sold it a while back. Now why did I sell it? So इसके लिए you have to go back and study the China story. This is a good stock. There is no problem with the company per se. What it does is that it used to provide specialized glassware or testing equipments for different laboratories. Now that was one major line of business for the company. So basically in the last 1.5 2 years, it has been facing a lot of competition from China. Now China has become a X factor in the world economy right now because China's economy, they are trying to pivot. Almost 30% of their GDP was based on real estate. Now they are trying to democratize their market and move away from real estate. And uska one of the critical criteria is that you have to bring foreign money into Chinese market via their public markets or stock markets. Now this is what China is now focusing on. Now this also means that their domestic players, for example manufacturing हो गई या commodities play हो गया या certain type of manufacturing sectors, they are going to receive money from foreign players and they get like more firepower in terms of exporting stuff, okay? So therefore I feel that this China dumping game is not going to stop. So from that angle, Tarsun's product looks a slightly more complicated stock. So I would not build new positions on it. So this is my thesis. Now of course it can be off. Now comes the fourth point, which is around Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. कि यार ये मैंने पहले खरीदा था, मैं आपको इसकी timeline बता देता हूँ सबसे पहले, and then I'll tell you whether or not I'll be buying it. So this was the rebound that the first round of Small Finance Bank, इसमें when Ujjivan Small Finance Bank went from here, ये अगर आप इसका प्राइस देखो, फिर उसके बाद ये यहाँ पे बढ़ा, right? Almost double हो गया था. So I had aggregated this stock here, and you can check some of my past videos also. Then we sold it somewhere here. Okay, so this was the time. Again, I have explained all these things on my community membership, and if you would have been a 2-3 year member on my community, you would have picked this up. Okay, now since then what has started to happen from here is that it has gone down, right? So it is in a downtrend. ये downtrend channel बन गया है, right? It is not consolidating yet. For example, अगर ये ऐसे consolidate कर जाए अब, okay, so then that might be a right time to take new positions on this stock. Fundamentally, the stock is not bad. There is nothing off पर से इन टर्म्स ऑफ लेंडिंग. ऐसा नहीं इनके एनपीए बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गए हैं या दुनिया भर की प्रॉब्लम हो गई एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. Nothing of that sort is happening. What is happening with Ujjivan Small Finance is that right now it is in a major technical correction. And there is no broad rebound coming in the banking industry so far. Everyone is waiting for HDFC Bank to give a breakout. अब जब होगा वो like that will be like market euphoria, I would say, and I think and then we can expect even stocks like Ujjivan Small Finance to do well. But for the time being, what you need to remember is that see, Ujjivan Small Finance is a small cap company. Okay, इसका market cap is very very less. You cannot compare it with something like HDFC Bank, right? Now for this to double, right, it goes to 15,000 crore. Can it be done? 100% yes, it can be done. This is not that complicated a thing to achieve for Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. The numbers, what do they tell us? That are the numbers growing? 100% yes, the numbers are exceptionally good. They are sitting on all-time high revenue profit, not just now, but for the last 3 years. So this is a good stock. It is going through a technical correction right now. इसमें जब भी volume आएगी, whenever people start aggregating it, so this stock will go up like 5-6% a day, right? So this is how exactly small and mid cap stocks behave. So this again, I would term it as a 2x, 3x category stock. Now last stock which I will speak about, it's not necessarily a small mid cap stock, but this has been in the news. Now this is Swiggy CCPS. Again, I had made a video there. कमेंट्स पढ़ना मजा आएगा आपको, राइट, कि कितनी बैशिंग होती है, मतलब फॉर नॉनसेंस रीजन. ओके, सो सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको उसमें पोर्टफोलियो दिखा देता हूँ कि दिस हैज बीन लाइक रफली अ मंथ दैट आई हैड परचेज, राइट. दिस इज ऑलरेडी अप इन माय पोर्टफोलियो एट 8.5%, राइट. सो एक महीने में 8.5% का रिटर्न बना है, राइट, एंड आई हैव इन्वेस्टेड अ सब्सटैंशियल अमाउंट ऑन इट. ओके, now see guys, this is not a recommendation कि आप भी जाके कर लो. Now I am getting a question by those same critics, right, कि नहीं भाई Swiggy तो भाई loss making है, this that stuff. Zomato नहीं थी loss making, right? So Zomato भी तो loss making थी. Even when it debuted, it was a loss making company. Then it turned around. Now why will that not happen with Swiggy? It's common sense. थोड़ा सा Google मारो, पढ़ो अपने आप चीजें. So for example, all you have to do was that you compare Swiggy and Zomato back to back. Okay, so this is what the data tells us, that the market share of Zomato is 55%. Swiggy का 45% है. They have these number of restaurant partners, delivery partners, this that stuff. So to cut the long story short, we can theoretically say that Swiggy is almost 60 to 70 or between 60 to 75% of Zomato. Now what is Zomato's valuation? Zomato's valuation again आप Google मार के देखो तो आपको पता चलेगा कि it is at $29 billion. Okay, so this is at $29 billion. Now what is 60% of $29 billion? Now it comes approximately $17 billion. Now अभी क्या है सीन कि the market is at an all time high. Now Zomato itself can correct. So आप assume कर लो कि यार it will correct by like 15-20%. So उसको 25 का आपने valuation मान लिया. So 60% of 25 is how much? It is roughly $15 billion. Now हमने कितने पे खरीदा था? We bought it at roughly $10.5 billion से $11 billion की बैंड पे खरीदा था. Now what is Swiggy saying? That they are trying to IPO somewhere around $15 billion. So कितनी की profit potential है? Almost 50% की profit potential है. That's a simple math. अब लोगों को math समझ में आती नहीं है, उनको सिर्फ लॉस मेकिंग कंपनी दिखती है. भाई पहली बार कर रहे हो क्या इन्वेस्ट लॉस मेकिंग कंपनी में? सो नाउ कम्स अ वेरी नेचुरल क्वेश्चन दैट ओके, शुड यू गो एंड बाय स्विगी CCPS नाउ? योर कॉल. ओके, यू हैव टू डू द सेम एनालिसिस. जो नंबर आपको निकाल के दिखाए, यू हैव टू डू द सेम एनालिसिस ऑन योर ओन. If your logic tells you to invest, invest. If the logic does not tell you to invest, कोई मैं आपका हाथ पकड़ के तो बटन नहीं दबा रहा हूँ कि आप यहाँ खरीद लो and all that stuff. It is your call, your money. You are supposed to be accountable for it. It's plain and simple. I'm giving you all the data that is there, teaching you all the technical tools that you need to understand in order to make more informed choice. Please look at this video from that angle. So I hope that you got my perspective on what type of stocks I'll be aggregating. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon.